Hello and welcome to your next class of this quick revision series for Prelims 2024. We are almost at the end of science and technology. We have just one more news to discuss and then we'll jump on to a new section, that is defense and security. We'll have a couple of classes of defense and security and then we will jump on to places in news and we'll have a map based discussion on that as well. So do stay tuned for all the remaining classes. Also hit the subscribe button if you have not done so far and join the Telegram channel to get the PDF of all these classes. You will get the link for Telegram channel in the description of this video. Let's begin with the first one, or the last news rather, of science and technology section, that is White Rabbit collaboration. It is a collaboration launched by CERN. CERN, as you know, is a nuclear research agency of Europe. They have launched something called the White Rabbit collaboration. It is an open source timing technology developed at CERN. So CERN basically as an institute mainly focuses on particle physics. It's a nuclear research institution, but this collaboration aims to go much beyond particle physics. It wants to bring the countries and other stakeholders together and collaborate on how different applications can be used in the future. It is mainly focusing on enhancing open source technology. We have discussed this earlier also. Open source basically means a kind of an algorithm or software where you can also contribute and make your changes. Closed source basically means that the company has made a software, they have made an algorithm, now you can't make any changes, you can just use it like that. But open source means collaboration, different stakeholders contributing their own research, their own technique, and then bringing up with a completely new and a better version. The goal is to provide support and training, facilitate collaborative research, develop projects, etc. by coming together of multiple stakeholders. Do remember, this is an initiative by CERN, which is a European Organization for Nuclear Research. Don't be confused how the full form of CERN can start with E. CERN is actually a short form of a French full form. So French full form is something like Council, European Research, Nuclear, with the different pronunciation. So it's actually a French word and that is why CERN. But in English version, the full form is European Organization for Nuclear Research. So they have basically gotten up with this new technology called White Rabbit collaboration. It's a technology that brings in collaboration with different institutes and companies from all around the world. The focus is to synchronize devices around the world within particle accelerators with extreme precision down to nanoseconds. So to make sure all the high-tech devices around the world are working with the same time cycle, are all on the same clock, not even differentiated by nanoseconds. That is the entire idea of this. Again, the idea is to have collaborations with multiple stakeholders all around the world. The White Rabbit switches as a component of this technology. It offers sub-nanosecond synchronization accuracy to different machines all around the world. It achieves the accuracy with providing flexibility of real-time Ethernet networks as well. Here are some of the applications. White Rabbit was first developed in 2012. In 2022, it was integrated into Precision Time Protocol, which is an industry standard overseen by Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. It can also have utility in the finance sector as well. How in the finance sector? See, in finance sector, with so many transactions taking place, let's say in the stock market, etc., every second counts. For example, if I want to sell my stock right now and the stock price is 100 rupees, next second the stock price may go up to, let's say, 90 rupees, but I clicked the sell button when it was 100, so I have to get the advantage of that second only. So in the finance sector also, there is a big role of all these timings and their accurate measurement, and that is why all these technologies can actually come up. This brings us to the end of science and technology section. Now we move on to the next section for our quick revision series. This section is defense and security. You do see very commonly asked questions by the UPSC based on defense, questions on different missiles, questions on different types of weapons that are in the news, questions on forces, etc. are also asked. There are also questions on joint military exercises that India does with other countries. All of that we will be reading. Starting with the Special Protection Group, the SPG. It was in the news because the SPG rules were recently changed by the central government with regards to Prime Minister's security. As you know, SPG, the Special Protection Group, is a special force created to protect the Prime Minister, the immediate family of the Prime Minister, former Prime Ministers and their immediate family. The rules were changed specifically with regards to the people who would be joining this particular group. Now, groups such as the SPG, they don't have direct recruitment. You would not have an entrance test just for SPG. So what usually happens is people from other forces like IPS, etc., they come in to work for SPG for a certain period of time on deputation and then they go back. This is how it usually works. Like, for example, National Disaster Management Force, there also you will not see direct recruitment happening. So people from the CAPF, Central Armed Police Forces, they come in on deputation and then they go back. That is how the SPG also works. The SPG came into being under the Special Protection Group Act of 1988. So it was a direct result of the assassination of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. After Indira Gandhi was assassinated, it was felt that there has to be a special force just for the protection of the Prime Minister, because till Indira Gandhi was assassinated, the protection of the Prime Minister was done by different forces. The people who were involved were mainly from the CAPF, Central Armed Police Forces. Some of those officers are involved in the protection of Prime Minister. But now it was felt that there is a need to have a special branch just for this, and that is how SPG was created. As per the new rules, officers of all India service will be appointed to the special SPG on deputation by the central government on same terms and conditions as they are working in the central government. So, if in the central government they are at a specific rank, at the same rank they will go and work at the SPG without any change in the rank. Other members of the SPG, apart from the All India Service Officers, will be appointed on deputation for a period of 6 years initially, after which it can be extended by the central government. Central government can approve a second term as well, but only if they think that it is required. Who heads this SPG? It is headed by an officer not less than rank of Additional Director General of the IPS. Apart from that, the general training, control, etc. is done by the director of the SPG. So he is the one who shall be responsible. As I told you, it's specifically to protect the Prime Minister, his family, former Prime Minister and the immediate family of the Prime Ministers. This was mainly brought into being after the assassination of Indira Gandhi in 1984. There was a need felt. Now, something interesting also happened here. So when SPG actually first came into the picture, at that time it was only supposed to protect the Prime Minister and the family of the Prime Minister. Nothing apart from that, not the former Prime Ministers. So initially that was formed for Prime Minister and his or her family. Now what happened was, a few years later we saw the assassination of Rajiv Gandhi. Now when Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, he was not the Prime Minister. He was a former Prime Minister. He was contesting elections again, and in the election campaigning he was assassinated. Then there was a need felt that maybe the former Prime Minister also need to be protected. So what happened was, after Rajiv Gandhi assassination, even former Prime Ministers also came under its purview. So that is how it usually works. Now, original act was in 1988. Originally the act said that Prime Minister and his immediate family who are living with him, former Prime Minister and their immediate family who are living in their official residence will be protected. Interestingly, the act said former Prime Ministers will be given protection for 1 more year. Means when they cease to become the Prime Minister, after which for 1 more year they will get protection. And after that, if there is a threat, central government sees that there is a threat by a terrorist organization or a militant organization, then they will continue, but otherwise they will not. This was amended later on. So the original act was former Prime Ministers for 1 year only and their family with 1 year. Then in 2019, it was changed. 2019 said former Prime Ministers and their immediate family living with them at the official residence will be provided security for a 5-year period. And then it will be withdrawn depending upon if they still have a security threat. So Home Ministry mainly is the party responsible here. Home Ministry assesses the level of threat to different individuals in the country. If the Home Ministry thinks that there are certain individuals who are at a serious threat, who may be under danger, Home Ministry will increase their protection. That is the Home Ministry's decision to take. Next important news was the Agni Prime. A new version of the Agni missile was tested successfully. Agni Prime or Agni-P. It is important because it is lighter in weight as compared to Agni missiles. Now, lighter means easy to maneuver, easy to launch from different places. Not the largest range, but yes, even the lighter version or lighter weight can actually add a lot of potential to this. It has a range of 1000 to 2000 kilometer. It was first tested in 2021. It's a ballistic missile. So there are ballistic missiles, there are cruise missiles. Ballistic missiles basically go under the influence of gravity. That is usually the path of ballistic missiles. That is how they usually work. And then cruise missiles usually go at a much lower altitude. These are cruise missiles. It's a two-stage missile with solid propellant. Solid propellant basically means the fuel that is used, solid or liquid. So it's a solid fuel missile. It will have its own navigation and guidance system. It is nuclear capable and has been designed by DRDO. It is a surface-to-surface ballistic missile with a range of 1000 to 2000 kilometer. Missile-based questions have been asked in the past by the UPSC. The key factor about this missile is that it weighs 50% less than Agni-3 missile and has a new guidance and propulsion system. It can be launched from rail, road, and be stored for longer periods of time as well, which suits our defense sector. Here are some other Agni missiles. Agni 6 is still under development. There are a lot of rumors and news that come in for Agni 6 that the range may be 10,000 or 8,000. But so far officially, we have till Agni 5. Agni 1, with each version you will see the range keeps on increasing. When the missile goes over 5,000 kilometers, we call it intercontinental missile. So basically, you can call it intercontinental this one because the range is 5,000, but usually over 5,000 is when we call it intercontinental missile. So Agni 6 will definitely be intercontinental. Agni 5 also can be regarded as intercontinental missile. Next news, Zero FIR and FIR. Now, why was Zero FIR in the news? It was because of the Manipur violence. What exactly is Zero FIR? Usually, if something wrong happens and you go to the police station and ask them to register an FIR, the first question that they will ask is, where did the crime take place? So, if this is the police station and this is the area under them, they will only register an FIR if the crime happened here. If crime happened somewhere here, they will not register the FIR. They will ask you to go to another police station which covers the area of that crime. Now the problem here is that leads to a lot of problem for the common man. Common man might not know which police station covers which particular area. That also delays the process of FIR and investigation. So to avoid that from happening, there is a concept of Zero FIR. Zero FIR is an FIR that can be registered anywhere. Doesn't matter where the crime happened, whichever police station the person approaches, you have to register that FIR there. That is called the Zero FIR. Later on, you can transfer that FIR to a respective police station. So it is transferable, it can be transferred, but it has to be registered first wherever the person visits. This is called the Zero FIR. It will register irrespective of the area where the offense has been committed. So the police can't claim that they don't have jurisdiction over it. It is later transferred to a police station that has the actual jurisdiction. It came into being after the Nirbhaya case tragedy. After Nirbhaya case, as you know, there was a very important committee formed by the government, Justice Verma Committee. Justice Verma Committee is the committee that talked about changing juvenile justice laws as well. It talked about how the punishment for rape cases can be increased. They were the ones who suggested that FIR is not something that is very easy to register for the common people. So we should introduce a concept of Zero FIR. It puts a legal obligation on the police to begin investigation without saying that no, it is not under our jurisdiction. The reason why you will see a lot of police ignoring or trying to basically delay the process of registering FIR is when they register an FIR, they become obligated to start the investigation. It's like increasing your own work. And every police station is judged, their performance is judged on the basis of how many pending FIRs do you have. So if you have registered an FIR and the case has not closed, then it is a question mark on you. So if you're registering FIR, you're increasing your own work. And that is where the problem is, that is where the irony is. So obviously, police stations don't want to, logically and generally speaking, they don't want to write many FIRs. They will try to avoid that. FIR, as you know, is the first information given to a police officer in writing. This is under the CRPC, used to be under CRPC of section 154. CRPC has now been replaced. It is from the point of view of the informant. So if I am getting the FIR written, for me the purpose is that I have basically put it into official knowledge that this crime was committed and it is now part of the criminal law. From the side of the police, it is about now the police to take necessary steps to ensure that investigation begins. So that is what FIR does whenever it is officially registered. Next thing in the news was the free movement regime. As you know, India-Myanmar border has been quite active ever since the Manipur crisis has begun. Manipur and many other states in the northeast share a border with Myanmar. A lot of tribes live on the Indian side of the border and their many relatives, their families live on the Myanmar side. So the two sides a few years ago had agreed to a rule or agreed to a policy called the free movement regime. Free movement regime meant that the tribals whose families are living on the other side can actually come to the other side without a visa up to 16 kilometers. So the permission to travel across the border up to 16 kilometers to meet with their family, that was called the free movement regime. So it was done to make sure the family ties of the tribals actually are strengthened and they don't really have an issue while going to meet their family. There is no requirement of visa, etc. The problem, however, is that this has now been stopped by the government. The government thought that this is not working well. It's actually creating a law and order issue, especially with respect to what is happening in Manipur. For this particular free movement regime, 1 year validity pass was issued by the authorities and a person could stay up to 2 weeks per visit. Not more than this. This was the maximum time period. It was started in 2018, so not very old. It was implemented by the government to ensure that the tribals can go to each other villages, celebrate common festivals, attend weddings, etc. because there are a lot of family ties on both sides of the border. That was the entire idea, but unfortunately it has not turned out as expected and the government has put an end to the free movement regime. Next news, the Indian Air Force got a new ensign. This is how it looks. This is the Air Force symbol and then the Ashok Chakra. This is the Himalayan eagle and then this is our own national flag. There are a few things that you must remember here. These kind of questions are asked about these kind of ensigns or emblems, etc. The Indian Air Force got this new emblem which has the IAF, Indian Air Force crest, that has been incorporated here. So Indian Air Force crest is this. This has been incorporated here. You will see this crest or sign on the planes of Indian Air Force as well. This crest features the national symbol, the Ashoka lion, and a part at the top, and then you have the word Satyamev Jayate written in the Devanagari script. Apart from that, which particular animal or which particular bird did we see there? We saw the Himalayan eagle. To remember the name, there is again a ring in light blue color that encircles the Himalayan eagle and it says the words Indian Air Force. Also importantly, the IAF motto derived from Bhagavad Gita. The motto is Nab Sparsham Deeptam. This means touching the sky with glory. Do remember this as well. This motto has been inscribed below the Himalayan eagle in golden Devanagari. If you see this photo, this is where you will see this. Nav Sparsham Deeptam. So this is important. Do remember all these details. These have been asked. For example, in the past, the UPSC has asked the motto of the Supreme Court. So basically they gave a motto and then they asked which of these institutions has this motto. It was a random question. Some people got it right, but many people got it wrong. This time around, do remember this because this is in the news. Now, Indian Air Force, as you know, at the time of the British was known as the Royal Indian Air Force. And the ensign at that point of time consisted of the Union Jack, the upper left portion, and apart from that, red, white, and blue on the fly side. After independence, we obviously replaced it. We replaced the Union Jack with the Indian tricolor and the RAF roundels with the IF tricolor in the lower right canton, as we just saw on the flag. Next news, it is a list of important military exercises that India does with other countries. So I'm giving you a long table to remember. Nothing to explain here, just try and remember. These are the names of exercises. These are the participating forces, and this is not the only table. I'll just continue with this. And this is the exercise. Is it on land, air or maritime? This is one more long table. Just try and read it through 3-4 times, see if you can remember most of them. India, Russia, Indra, then as you can see Mitra Shakti, India, Sri Lanka, India, Qatar also, India, France, India, Indonesia, India, Maldives. All these are military exercises that we have with different countries. To try and remember these. One more table, not more than this. These are the tables that I want you to try and read and revise. Moving on to 378, the news is about Bru refugees and their rehabilitation. For a long time, there has been this issue between Mizoram and Tripura about the Bru refugees. So basically, Bru is a tribal community. It is supposed to be originally from Tripura. So it's seen that they have been originally from Tripura, but over time, as you know, with weddings, etc., and for work, people start to move around. So what has happened is a lot of people from the Bru tribe have moved around to other states in the northeast as well. Mizoram has not taken it well. Mizoram, for example, does not want any outsiders. They wanted that no, our own tribal community should live here. Other tribes from other states should go back. So the Bru community specifically has faced a lot of violence in states such as Mizoram. There have been multiple attacks on them. In 1997, there was a huge ethnic issue where many Brus from Mizoram were forced out of the state. Now finally central government through Home Ministry has intervened and they have basically ensured that Tripura government will ensure settlement, proper peaceful settlement of all the Brus, and this is why it is in the news. Tripura government has allotted land to the last batch of Bru refugees from Mizoram. This is a part of an agreement that was mediated by the Home Ministry. Agreement was signed in 2020. The Brus are also known by another name called the Riangs. So it is the same community. Sometimes they are known as Riangs in Mizoram and Brus in Tripura, but it is the same community. Historically, they have lived in Assam as well, but mainly in the state of Tripura. In Tripura, they are under the PVTG, particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Do tell me in the comment section, this is your homework, how many particularly vulnerable tribal groups do we have and which committee in India suggested this particular classification. So tell me these two things. First, tell me how many particularly vulnerable tribal groups do we have in India and which committee had suggested that we should have something like this, that even among the tribals there are some groups that are even more vulnerable. Who suggested this? Do tell me. The crisis between the two states, Tripura and Mizoram, is not a new one. It started in 1995 when many Mizo groups demanded that the Brus should be removed from the state. They thought they're interfering in our elections. They thought that they're interfering in our resources, in our jobs, etc. About 35,000 Riangs continue to live in North Tripura camp as well as refugees, and many others have also been given the place to settle now in Tripura. Next news from China about space warfare. China has become the first country to launch what is called as a Near Space Command. What exactly is Near Space Command? What is this area all about? So basically, if you go higher from Earth, from 20 to 100 kilometers from Earth's surface, this is an area where it's called a no man's land. Why? This is an area where military aircraft can't go because there is very thin air, there won't be any oxygen. On the other hand, this is an area where satellites can't be placed because this is too close to the surface, so very high gravity. Satellites have to go higher than this. So this becomes an area where there are neither aircrafts flying nor there is satellite. So it becomes a no man's land. China has become the first country to establish a command called the Near Space Command that will have specific weapons to target this area. So they now have super hypersonic weapons that will be able to target this particular area. That is why it is in the news. It's called the space war. It's a part of the space warfare. Many countries are focusing on this. India also has been focusing on space warfare. America also has been doing that. Space warfare began in 1962 when the US exported a ground-based nuclear weapon in the space for the first time. Countries got worried. No one wanted nuclear weapons in the space, and that is why an outer space treaty was signed in 1967. It was to prevent the countries around the world from misusing outer space. Since then, many other similar treaties have been signed. This is the table you can remember from this. Outer Space Treaty, then we have the Rescue Agreement, which says that any country's astronaut who is in trouble should be rescued by other countries who can cooperate. So it's like if India's mission goes and there's an American astronaut or Pakistani astronaut, for example, in the space, we cannot say no, we have to rescue him back. Liability Convention, Moon Agreement, all these have been signed from time to time with regards to outer space and how it can be used. As I said, India has been working on its own space warfare efforts. In 2019, DRDO established something called a Defense Space Agency. It looks into developing India's civilian space technology for military purpose. We also had a successful mission Shakti to tell or to prove that we can have anti-satellite missiles as well. We also have had our first space warfare exercise in 2019 called IND-SpaceX. The last news for this session is CTBT, Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty, that says that no country can have any nuclear tests anywhere. Not on land, not underwater, not in the atmosphere, nowhere. The reason why it is in the news is Putin has revoked Russia's ratification from Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. They had ratified it earlier, but Russia now, because of the situation with Ukraine, to basically send a signal to the world, Putin is saying that no, I will not be a part of it anymore. This treaty prohibits any nuclear weapon explosion anywhere in the world. It was opened for signature in 1996. As you can imagine, India has not signed it. We don't agree to this. We think that we still have a lot of testing to be done. Many other countries, interestingly, have not signed it. Pakistan, China, North Korea, and most interestingly, even the US has not signed it. Because it has not been signed by these countries, the treaty has not officially come into force. Please understand, there is another treaty called PTBT, where PTBT is Partial Test Ban Treaty. That one India has signed. Partial Test Ban Treaty says apart from land, you cannot have a nuclear explosion anywhere else. That we did sign, we agreed to that we will not do nuclear explosion or nuclear testing rather underwater or in the atmosphere, we do it on land only. That we have signed. CTBT we have not signed, and many other major countries, as you know, have not signed, including India. So India does not want any moratorium on the nuclear testing. There are many other interesting treaties about free nuclear zone. Basically, these are the treaties that say that in this part of the world there should not be any nuclear testing done. So ASEAN has signed a treaty called Treaty of Bangkok. Africa has signed a treaty called Treaty of Pelindaba. These treaties basically are nuclear free zone treaties. Under these treaties, in these zones, there will not be any nuclear testing done. So do remember the name of these treaties. Like for South Pacific, it is Rarotonga. For ASEAN, it's Treaty of Bangkok. For Central Asia, it's called Treaty of Semai. Do remember that as well. This was our session. We have 4 more sessions to come up, very important for all of you. As I said earlier, we will be finishing this series sooner. By 5th of June, we'll be finishing it. I'll be uploading multiple videos every single day. So please be regular here. And again, join the Telegram channel to get latest updates and PDF of all these lectures. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Jai Hind.